Hello and welcome to the show. I am back on BeamNG Drive, taking more of your, well, if this is anything to go by, utterly bonkers creations around the Autocross course. This has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wings on it. It's a mad looking car. Might be quite quick. It is a rear-wheel drive, naturally aspirated i6 one. This comes from Thunder Thor. It is the Thunder Performance Megadeth. 345 horsepower, 213 torque, weighs just over 1,000 kilos. And while it's unlikely to challenge the Fireball as the very fastest car to ever run around here, being rear-wheel drive, the two-wheel drive record might potentially be there. We're looking for a high 120 if we're going to beat the front-wheel drive machine that currently holds that record. There's a lot of wings on this car. If we've got the control to do it, it certainly has got pretty good power figures going on here. I mean, the big concern as ever with rear-wheel drive cars is, will we be oversteering? Will we spin the wheels up trying to get out of these, what are very, very slow corners? And that is the, very, very difficult thing. Gear ratios, I'm immediately happy with. It's nice to have a sensible gear ratio. I think second might be better. It's that shift between first and second where you get that big burst of oversteer that causes some big problems. This is pretty good on the old traction front. I've had oversteer a lot more from all-wheel drive cars, from some of the all-wheel drive cars that have gone here, than we are having from this. And second gear just negates that wheel spin. It means I can be aggressive with the car and not worry so much. Yeah, I might ultimately be, well, I say I might be losing a bit of power. Yes, I might not be making the 300 plus horsepower immediately, but I couldn't do that if I was in first gear because I'd be spinning the wheels if I tried to use it. So second gear is actually working very nicely. That's respectable speed down the rear straight as well. We're going to get a little bit bounced around. I mean, the car is incredibly wide, which I don't know if is particularly helpful around here. It's a very wide vehicle. It does fit through all of the required areas. I mean, we have had a limo go down here. It's a 22.0 on a first run. I think there is definitely a little bit more to come from the Thunderstrike. It's not a bad time. That is not bad. It's pretty damn close, I think, to the fastest rear-wheel drive car. I think it's a 21.8 if I remembered correctly. The front-wheel drive monster that went around here did so by being so incredibly good through the corners. It was amazingly grippy around the turns, and I don't think we quite have that level of grip from this, although it is, very good indeed for what it is. The wing, I've said this many times before, the wings, I'm not sure how much difference they make, certainly how much difference having 6 of them make when it comes to automation cars put into Beam, but it's always fun to see. I mean, it's the front-wheel drive car, if you didn't watch the last stream where the front-wheel drive car shattered the two-wheel drive record, that had 3 massive wings on it, and it certainly worked. The car certainly worked. Whether it was the wings doing the work or not, I have no idea. But the wings impressive nevertheless. We're going to head down onto this back straight, try and get the change of direction, get on that power nice and early. We might be a touch heavier. We're 200 or 300 kilos heavier than a lot of the very fast cars that have run around here. It's not showing it too much. Ooh, there's a little kick of oversteer as we come off the banking. That is not a, I mean, it's a transition of road surface essentially. It's not a problem. We've seen cars nearly roll. A couple of the high-riding SUVs have very nearly fallen over at that point, but we've not seen a car get sudden bursts of oversteer. Not a better run. Not a better run that time. Lost bits of time, I guess, I'm not sure where. Certainly lost bits and pieces of time to have done a 23.2. Oh, Kitten, no, not on the keyboard. We had Kitten of Good Luck, and now Kitten of Good Luck is threatening to press buttons, so Kitten of Good Luck has to go on the floor. Otherwise, Kitten might turn off. I've already had cats jump. So I have a separate keyboard on my sim rig that stays permanently plugged into the computer. I've already had Kittens jump on that and press buttons. It took me a while to figure out what on earth was going on. Why I was typing on something, was I getting random letters? Yeah, so kittens and keyboards are a fun, interesting little thing. Now, let's not get oversteer through any of these. Ideally I want first. I can't really use first there. It just needs to be a little longer doesn't it? It just needs to be that smidge longer for that little acceleration zone, and you can get away with it. Just can't do it. We are going to go back to using second gear, try and maintain speed. Yeah, it's got some serious turning. It has got some serious turning through these corners, which is always nice to have. I think, yeah, ultimately, in terms of the two-wheel drive record, we might struggle with just not having enough grip through the corners to compete with the crazy front-wheel drive machine. I don't think we're quite getting turned in well enough to fight that, and that was similar in terms of acceleration to this. Oh, we got a little bobble there from the car. Jump on the brakes once again. A little bit of vibration from the car under braking. Don't get oversteer. I kind of prepared and was ready to catch that one in. Oh, this time around, stop it for the hairpin. We're still a smidge wide through all of that. Just a couple more corners to go. Are we going any faster? No, we're not. It's the 22. It's going to be the best time. That was very similar on those second and third runs. Couldn't get much more speed out of it. But for a rear-wheel drive car, that is still a very, very quick time. The next vehicle to take on the course does not have quite as crazy a wing. It's got crazier exhaust layout, though. Don't ask, I don't want to know. This car comes from a Danny 330. It is the Umberon Barrack, all-wheel drive turbo i6 in this one. 432 horsepower, 400 plus torque. It weighs just 962 kilos. That is a big power to ratio. That's also a big amount of torque. That's a lot of torque from the 2 litre in this. Could stand a chance of going very, very quick. It does seem to only have an automatic option, though, which may give the car some real grief. It also does not seem to rev up. That is peculiar. Can I not... I can't rev the car up until... So we're not going to be able to get a good start in this car, because it's... That's not great news for the vehicle. So yeah, it won't rev up properly. I guess we're going to have to hope that it's also near silent. This is the quiet... Have you built an electric car here? This is the quietest vehicle I think we've had go. Sure, okay, I'll have to boost the audio a lot when it comes to the making a video. It's complete... I mean, I'm glad I don't need to worry about it, because it's absolutely silent here. The next car we've got is a flat 6, so I'd be constantly faffing around. It's actually really difficult to sort of like judge speeds with this car. Oh, we're going to have a big wiggle. It's not very nice to drive with the... Oh, what are you doing, car? Find some... maybe some speed or some go. We're going to get some massive oversteer through all of there. It kind of wobbles a little bit under braking. Now, we have seen this before. It was like, I can't remember what car it was, where it's almost like it was a considerably slower car we had this. So when I'm coming in some of these corners, it does very, very weird behaviour. Whoa, it just shot itself sideways under brakes. There's a lot of suspension scariness going on from this as we're trying to slow the car down. I can't, like, even if I wanted to try and short shift the car, because I'm not allowed to, there is no options for it. We're going to wiggle our way through here, and that is going to be across the line. It's not a great run. Well, impact was detected apparently. I'm going to turn volume up on my computer to try and hear this car. Like, it's a strange thing, but when you do take away that sound, your sort of reference points are a little bit... I say a little bit different. It's, yeah, sometimes judging speed through the corners. There we go. Now I've got some sound because I've basically maxed out my computer volume. It's an interesting thing to drive. It does a very strange thing with the handling. I think what it is a front tyre's giving up grip at some points under braking into some of these hairpins, which isn't great. Even with ABS, this car is still locking up. The front brakes are cold for this first part, which probably does not help them particularly. They've had a better start to this particular run. Oh, again, it's kind of, this time we are better through there. It's kind of less of the sudden sort of stop-start. It's almost, like maybe it's to do with the brakes are catching when we are trying to slow it down, because the ABS isn't really stopping them in some of these corners. Getting a little bit of brake locking. Oh, come on, very, very wide there. You can get away with being wide over there. I actually have to try to be smoother with the braking, because I don't really want to go full on the brakes. I just don't think the ABS is keeping up with the car. Right, out onto the back straight we go. What sort of speed are we capable of? The gearbox is charred. Gearbox is complete shot. The car can rev to about 9,000. I think it's only going to about 7,000. If you give me a gearbox that's stuck as automatic only, I'm afraid that's what it's going to do. I don't know where the maximum peak power is. I'll have to have a look at the document quickly, but it may well not be using any of it. It's a better run. It's a 24. What is it? Okay, so no, to be fair to the car, its peak power is about 5,800 RPM, which is is unusually low. This is more sort of torque than power. It's a lot of power, kind of more torque and power based. Can rev very high, but doesn't. 24.3. It's an okay time. It's an okay time for an all-wheel drive car. The launch, I know this does hurt it, because I just can't kick the car off the line like you can with anything else. I don't know how much time is lost in that, but yeah, it doesn't kick itself off the line very well. We're going to kind of coast our way through here. It's a strange one to drive. It's not terrible, but it's also struggling a little bit with some. It feels like it's struggling a little bit with some of these corners. Feels like, I don't know, maybe it's a little too soft, a little too bouncy. There's that bit of oversteer. Oh, that's too quick into there. Trying to get away with carrying more speed in places. Yeah, the ABS is useless. It's completely useless. It might as well not be there, to be honest, because it just locks up regardless. So having to be very, very careful with the braking. We're going to have some sliding. Yes, we are. I don't know what it is that causes, whether it's because the brakes are so sharp and so powerful, the ABS can't keep up with them around a course like this. Just, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We have seen it with a few cars, though, where you have them on ABS and it just doesn't work. Yeah, down there, it's still chattering away as you're trying to slow it down. We're going to run very wide on the banking, try and get the car turned in for that exit run. There we go. One more big braking zone to go. One more big scary zone. I'm kind of having to hit the brakes 2 or 3 times just to try and find what I can and can't do with the vehicle. And this is going to be a run across the line. It's not better. We tore the wing off. Yeah, I mean, the gearbox is a little bit strange. The brakes were the bigger concern. I couldn't hit the brakes hard, and trying to find a point at which the ABS, that would kind of let it slow down was a bit weird. In some ways, might have been easier with the ABS off, although then it would have been a very, very sort of like 20% brake pressure and everything locks. Either way, it's not bad. Not bad, but certainly not the easiest all-wheel drive car to take around here. The next vehicle to run through the course, this is from VCDM. It is the Monster FX17 all-wheel drive turbo flat 6. Pretty decent amount of power, 365 horsepower, 259 torque. It is relatively light at 904 kilos, certainly not the lightest, but fairly light in all of that. Should potentially stand a chance. Is the first car, I think, to use the Alpha GTV style body, as far as I'm aware, running through this course. We have a glorious, glorious proper gearbox. Oh, we're wobble wagon. We are quite a lot of wobble wagon. We've got far too short gear ratios, I think. Yep. Very, very short gear ratios. We could be changing gears a lot, and it wobbles a bit like like a rally car through the corners. Rally car moves around a lot on suspension, but does have a fair bit of grip. This, I just don't. Oh god, I don't trust this whatsoever going around the corners. It feels like it might fall over at some point or suddenly pop a wheelie. Speed, I don't think the speed's going to be a problem in the car. Like acceleration-wise, I think it's pretty good. I might be able to learn to live with the peculiar suspension. Possibly. We'll see what we can do on this first run. I don't think it's got the grip to again fight with the 16s and 17s that we've had around here. Ultimately, if you're going to go far, if you're going to go to the top of the table, you have to be doing pretty much a 15 now. This 16.1 is the fastest car around here, so you're going to have to be able to do some immense sort of speeds. And well, we've got okay straight line speed. Through the corners, you've just got to wait too long to get on the power. It's nice to have at least brakes that work. The ABS actually do its job on this. We can jump on the brakes and it will get the car stopped without big lockups. 22.9 for a first run. That's not too bad. It is not too bad at all. I think very similar to the Thunder Performance vehicle. Where are we going to find time? Well, I was a little bit dodgy in a couple of places, getting the car slowed down, like there, for example. When you're driving at, well, what is fairly low speeds, and you've got these incredibly powerful brakes, trying to balance, you know, we need to get the car stopped. But certainly from some of these short acceleration zones, you know, you're hurtling up towards 60 miles an hour in a tiny space of time, and you've got to get the car stopped, but not stopped so much that it comes to a grinding halt. It's, yeah, you're working with such tiny braking zones and such ludicrous cars. We're going to have a big slide through there. It's pretty grippy through there. It's pretty good through there. We've got to ping the wall. It's not what I wanted to do. I pinged the other wall. It's still good. It was good. That was a good start to the run. I just got a little bit too close to the concrete. However, the car is okay with it. Sometimes just the little snaps on the concrete are enough to bend wheels. We've lost wheels with smaller hits, to be fair. I'm not sure the diving under braking helps. Certainly with my confidence. Like, actual braking performance-wise doesn't seem too terrible. But when you see that nose suddenly dive to the floor, we're used to kind of ultra stiff race cars almost go around here. Some, in many cases, are a bit too stiff. There's just not enough compliance in the suspension for what we're trying to get them to do. I think third gear is going to have to be our gear of choice. Third gear is working, 22.6, a fraction quicker. Considering we battered the front of the car through a couple of places, there might be a low 22 in this. If, and again, it is always a big if I can keep everything together, if I can keep everything neat in the car. Right, let's go for third gear. I'm really struggling with the stopping for turn 1 here. Unusually, it's not normally the worst corner for stopping. On the good news front, yeah, the throttle response is pretty solid, even when we are having to go for these. Yeah, it doesn't like this first section. This first section is not particularly pleasant. It gets better, it does get better as we go further around. Yeah, throttle response, despite the turbos, despite the high power, third gear is pretty solid in the car for accelerating out of the corners. It does get away. Oh, that's more suspension bucking from the car as I'm trying to get braver and braver as I'm trying to find the time. No, I don't think I can. Pushed it too hard. Oh, big kick of oversteer. We've not seen that from the from the Mazda before. I think this run's gone. I mean, we'll keep going in case I do a magic thing somewhere, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It doesn't look like it has fairly skinny front tyres. Might not help with the getting the car turned in somewhere. It's quick. It's just not quite sub-20s sort of quick. It's not going to run, whoa, right at the very front. When you start really pushing the car, you have understeer followed by oversteer, followed by a trip to the concrete barrier, I suspect. Yeah, it's a terrible run. There was the trip to the concrete barrier. Yeah, earlier runs were much better. Little wallowy on the old suspension front, perhaps not the ultimate grip through the corners. Still, though, 22s are not shabby around this circuit. The final vehicle to run the course today is the Carbon Mini. This comes from Axe Gaijin. It is a front-wheel drive, naturally aspirated i3 car, 200 horsepower, 157 torque. That's okay power. We've certainly seen a lot less. It's not up with the other cars hell that ran today. However, it is very light. 525 kilos, and we have seen low power but incredibly lightweight can get you very, very quick. I don't know whether this is going to be able to challenge the fastest front-wheel drive car. As I said, it's a 120.8 to get near the Pegasus. But it might stand... Oh, we've got to turn off the ESC, of course. Well, I won't start because the engine's nowhere near where it's... Well, nowhere near revved up. We will see what the Mini can do. Now, there's likely to be a fair bit of wheel spin from the front-wheel drive car off the line. What are we going to be like through these turns? Always a lot of wheel spin. We've actually got some vibrations and wobbling going on through the car. Wow, that does really get turned. There is that fair bit of shaking. In fact, the front wheels are struggling immensely to put down this 200 horsepower. It is shaking the entire car. I've got to be really careful with my braking there. The brakes are incredibly cold on the car at the moment. In fact, the brakes are... don't think it's got ABS, and it's threatening to lock up. It has got ABS, but it's almost like they're so powerful they're just locking it up anyway. The lack of any traction is not particularly helping us. I wonder if we go for a long gear rate. Well, maybe. I was trying it. Try and go for the... Oh god, it's really struggling with the old traction front. Go for the longer gear ratio, maybe stop the wheel spin. Doesn't really seem to matter. The Pegasus did a similar thing. Maybe is it an open diff? Is it only spinning one wheel? I mean, oh god, it's sketchy. This might be another case of a car that's a little bit too light and asking a bit too much of the tyres and, well, the grip of the vehicle. It dives under brakes. It actually risks almost lifting up the rear of the car under braking, and that then makes it very, very skittish. I mean, what are we going to do speed-wise? It's 27.9. There is probably some more speed in that. It's not easy to drive. It's not. It's not easy to drive. It's in some ways. In some ways, I wonder if it would be faster with less power. It feels like there is so much power in this. The car just can't deal with it. It is constantly. I mean, you can see how much throttle I'm trying to. I'm using a lot less power off the line just to try and stop it spinning the wheels and shaking the entire car a bit. It didn't stop spinning the wheels up towards turn 2. I can't even get remotely close to full throttle in this car because it doesn't have the traction at all. It is great through the corners. It is absolutely brilliant through the corners. As you can imagine, it stops incredibly quickly. We've got vented discs at the front, solid discs at the rear. It will get stopped very, very fast. But the problem with it is that we can't really use we can't really accelerate out of the corners, and that is a very, very important part of, well, this course. Yes, there are a lot of corners, but there are also a lot of these short acceleration zones. And this is where, I say the high-powered cars, like cars it works as well, but you need to be able to get between the corners very, very quickly if you're going to set the fast times. I think this is a better run from the Carbon Mini. Can I get anywhere near full throttle down here? It's still spinning the wheels, so even all the way up through the gears. I just... we got to the point where I just gave up and just went for it. It's not ideal. It's absolutely not ideal, but I don't know at what point this is going to stop spinning its wheels. It's a ridiculous machine. It's a ridiculous machine, and it very much pivots under braking, which again is a scary thing. What we're going to see runtime, it's a better one. I don't actually know what time because it's still counting. It will stop at wherever we cross the line at 25.9. It's bloody fast for a front-wheel drive car. You know, don't get me wrong. 25.9 is quick for a front-wheel drive car. Certainly not going to be the quickest. It's 5 seconds off the fastest front-wheel drive car to run around here. Can we get any more out of it? I'm not sure. I think we're going to struggle because we're gonna waste so much time spinning the wheels. I fear. Oh, I'm trying. Stop spinning the front tyres, please, Mini. Oh, it's scary how quick it rotates. It is scary. I mean, it feels fast through the corners. The speedometer on this is going to be pretty useless because it's just constantly spinning those front wheels. It's just constantly going. At least the shaking we're getting from the car is not stopping the brakes from working. Although I think that's more a case of the brakes are so phenomenally powerful that it's... Yeah, we're only needing the tiniest tap on the brakes, and that'll get the car stopped. And, you know, to be fair, the Carbon Mini is very, very grippy through these corners. We're carrying, well, I think we're carrying a lot of corner speed. As I said, very difficult to know actual speeds, because this is probably one of the cars in which the speedo will be the least accurate, because it's just constant. Anytime there's any power applied, spin, and I just can't do anything with it. Even, here we go, I've tried to... Try to stop the wheel spin, but then we're just not as fast down the straights. It's, yeah, straight line speed in this car is pretty good if you could use the power. It's such a shame that it's all wasted in terms of wheel spin. It's just all gone in terms of spin the wheels like a lunatic, and there we go. It's not a better run. Oh, took out the oh, that's a nasty crunch on the front of the car. That is a nasty crunch on the front of the car. That's a very broken Carbon Mini. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think it would be better, and I think it would be quicker with a bit less power. A bit less power in that, or a way of getting some more traction to the front tyres, because I don't think we stopped spinning the wheels at all around this course. In fact, shall we just go have a very, very quick look? So the tyres will, the skid marks will have been removed. I mean, look at it. I think... No, there you go. You can still see it spinning its wheels there. You can still see it spinning its wheels there. I don't know what point it's going to lose. All down the back straight. There. I've never had a car drive like that. I mean, like, it's the only... If I don't just go for it, you could literally trace its entire route here. If I don't go for it, I'm just going to be using no power. So it got to the point of just give up. I think like that's where the rendering of the skid marks starts here. I've never driven a car that's done that. I've never had that happen. That's really quite impressive. It's actually quite an interesting overview of the Autocross course as well. Well, there we go. The Carbon Mini was a mad, mad thing. So, on to the results table, and it is the rear-wheel drive car that will go fastest of the day. The Thunder Performance will go into a 38th place with a 122.0. It's only 0.2 down on the fastest rear-wheel drive car. That's pretty damn good going. That is pretty damn good going indeed. It's a little bit down on the fastest two-wheel drive car. The Pegasus is still well up at the top. The Mazda, that will go into a 42nd place, a 22.6 in all of that. We go a little further down to find the other cars run in today's episode. I mean, they're all kind of mid-table, sort of mid-table vehicles. The Barrack will go into a 55th place, narrowly beating out the lunatic and out of control almost Motorsport X5. That was another car that was very light and too much power, much like the Carbon Mini, down in 63rd place, a 25.9 for the front-wheel drive vehicle. It's not bad, you know, it's right up there with some all-wheel drive cars. I feel that the Mini could have been quicker with perhaps a little bit more control, maybe even a little bit less power. That, though, is going to be it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.